I want to pull up this tweet thread from Zach Seward, who is I believe he's the editor-in-chief at Quartz, who posted one of the most deceptive, falsely framed articles I've ever seen.
Such a lie.
It's a really good example of the problems we face.
Yes.
Before I start this by criticizing the mainstream media for lying to you, I want to point out that there absolutely are conspiracy theorists and lunatics and cult members on the right. They exist, but they're not VC funded. They don't have investors who are giving them all of this money. There are some small right-wing outlets, conservative outlets that do get funding, but they're not nearly as bad as this. They wrote a story. We ordered the same gun used in Uvalde. Here's how easy it was. He says it was just like ordering groceries. Click, checkout, done. He's getting roasted for this.
Seriously.
Because while in the piece it does mention you have to go through a background check and all that stuff, the way they frame it is incredible. Take a look at this. He says, at no time were we asked for proof of age or of a clean criminal record, both of which are legally required to buy a firearm. That will happen when we pick up the gun at our local licensed dealer.
That's right.
The headline is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's how easy it was. They're trying to convince you. Not only that, but he goes on to say it was an assault rifle. He says, some people don't know how easy it is to go online and buy an assault rifle. He didn't buy one, though. He did not buy an assault rifle. It's just a misrepresentation. And this is what leads people who are traditional liberal or trusting in the news into believing wrong information.
Mm-hmm. So what this tells me is he's not actually interested in having a thoughtful conversation. It's about an agenda, right? So very clearly this is about creating this drumbeat, this hysteria to ban not just this gun, but really all guns, right? So it's a war then on guns. And if in fact that's the idea, then the question becomes, particularly from that outlet that we know as a lefty outlet, why do they want to remove all guns? Is it really just about trying to save the kids in school? I'm not so sure that's true. I think most people would say there's probably another agenda here. So that kind of headline, by the way, we know that Americans rarely read down into an article. I think that it's around 60 or 70% of people only read the headline. And then the remainder of that is only the first paragraph. So I think 3 or 5% of people actually read the whole story. So these folks know that.
I want to give a shout out to a journalist. This is a story I did. I covered just almost 3 years ago.
I remember this.
From Business Insider. This journalist wrote, I tried to buy a gun at Walmart twice and roadblocks left me empty-handed both times. This was actually a good story. And I give credit to this journalist. She had misconceptions about what buying a gun was like. She went to a Walmart and said, I'm going to see what happens. And when she got roadblocked, she wrote that she was.
Good for her.
This is like one of the biggest segments I've ever done. It's got 2.7 million views. I'm surprised, but... I didn't criticize her and mock her. I was like, this is great. A reporter actually decided to investigate what it's like to get guns because they weren't familiar with it. And they were honest with their audience about not being able to buy one. Yeah. That's the reality.
Yeah. Well, the shocking thing about Quartz is that there are 24 outlets just like that, right? Between Quartz and Axios and Mother Jones and you just go on and on and on. And they're all the same, and they're all funded by basically the same venture capitalist, lefty ideologue billionaires. They all have the same agenda. They're all intermarried, right? Which is weird. They all know each other, kind of like the one conspiracy, the one thought as who the leaker is of the Supreme Court document when went through of who's married to who and who was a bridesmaid at whose wedding. They all know each other.
It's a caste system.
There's no one there are very few outlets on the right of this side. There are a couple, right? We know them, the Beacon, the Daily Caller. They're great publications, but they're paltry in number compared to the left.
And you look at the funding that goes into these left-wing Democrat or whatever publications, hundreds of millions of dollars. And then you look at right-wing publications who sometimes get some funding, but not really.
Yeah. What was that CIA program where they were working directly with media?
Was that Mockingbird?
Yeah, I think it is.
There's two of them, I'm pretty sure.
I thought you were going to ask me about the time that we operated on the cat, and the cat was going to be actually a listening device.
Did it survive?
That's another one.
Is that true?
That's a real thing.
That is true.
They tried.
We did that.
People love cats.
I'm sorry.
They let them into their
everybody
bed
loves
at night.
cats. I'm so sorry.
They tried like implanting a microphone in the cat?
Yes. So this is what they did. They actually put the listening device in the ear, and then they used the antenna, and they built another part in the back, kind of in between the shoulders. And what they did is they took the cat because, hey, it's just a cat. It's innocuous. And they took the cat and they set it next to two gentlemen to test it on a park bench.
I know what happened, I think.
And unfortunately, Kitty did not stay there
of
on
course
the park
not.
bench to listen.
Cats do what cats
So the cat ran unfortunately, in front of a taxi cab.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
And
Cat didn't want to be part of it.
Nope.
the kitty
Good for the
That's
cat.
bad.
The
Right,
cat
yeah.
survived.
Ultimate
The
sacrifice.
cat did
So-
the
Eject
honorable
You
authority.
can't
thing.
force a cat to join the deep
No,
state.
you
No.
can't.
No.
You can't.
No.
Okay,
They
well,
are-
Individuals.
So
No.
sorry.
But speaking of Mockingbird, which I brought up, what the heck? This is from 1948. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. The CIA,
Well,
basically,
no,
right
it was-
after formation, was like, we
There
got to
were- there-
control the media.
It's not
we
just
gotta get in with the media.
Mockingbird. We talked about this with Luke Radkowski of We Are Change. There was something that happened in the 70s where a senator, I think, came out and said the CIA is working directly at these news outlets.
Yeah. Are you
I don't know if it was
Brian?
Mockingbird.
Well, so there was a huge dust up throughout the 70s where basically the House and the Senate were like, you guys are doing way too much you in the CIA. And they had committee hearings. Frank Church was one of the senators, from Idaho. And there were others. They looked into this. And the CIA director, they called him on the carpet, both overtly, that is to say out in public, and behind the curtain. And like, you guys are killing way too many people without authorization, and you all a bunch of cowboys. And some of these programs that you're talking about were part of that conversation that we need to rein you in because we've given you too much power and y'all are abusing it. And it's not just you, the CIA, it's the president and all the president's men, as it were, who are like, hey, with the military, we can't do certain things, but we can use this tool at the CIA and we can have them go kill various people or foment uprisings, etc., right? Or yes, the media piece, we can start to control and manipulate. And so again, it gets back to this. If you give people power, some percentage of them are going to abuse it. But if you give them a whole bunch of power, it is game on in terms of your country. And that's really, for me, in the past 5-10 years, has completely changed my understanding of giving so much power to the CIA or NSA or FBI. They will abuse it. They have abused it. And we've got to pull that back, both in terms of the size and the authorities, because they have too much. Still a lot of great people doing great work at those places, but you give them too much power and you're going to have these problems. And our country's in trouble because of it.
Yeah, I think a lot about the people, because I speak a lot of crap about the administrative state and like how it's overblown, but I think the people, the other night I was like, I don't want to hurt these people. Like, not that like the horseback riders in 1902, I mean, the automobile was coming, they still lost their jobs.
Yeah.
I don't want to see these people lose their gigs. And the problem is when they're the ones that control the assassination attempts, so anyone that's going to try and unseat them from their gig is a real threat. It has a big, like, yo, you don't want to anger people that control the button, like, basically.
Yeah.
But if it is, I mean, you think we'd be better off without these organizations?
I think of the Fed in Michigan who's doing a covert op, and he's on a chat room with some guy who's like, I hate Governor Whitman. I think we should assassinate her. And he's like, let's plan the kidnapping, and then they're having meetings, and then all of a sudden, at no point people are like, wait a second, we're actually going to plan to kidnap the governor just to trap this one aren't we taking this a little too far, guys?
Yeah.
They're ordering vans, and someone's going to Hertz, and they're picking up rope, and it's like, I think we're getting a little too excited about kidnapping the governor, guys. Like, I know we want to catch this bad dude, but this is getting a little crazy. So I don't. At what point does when you said they need to be reined in? I think that's an example of reining it in.
Amen.
And it kind of strikes me bizarre that no one in the hierarchy was like, I think you guys need to slow down the kidnapping plan, right? Like, this is a little crazy.
Would it look more like if it was raining in? Would it be like this NSA no longer exists? Like, what was the NSA formed? 2000? 2001? Was it after 9/11? Or has it been around longer than that?
It's been around longer, but yeah, look, here's where I come down on this. I think it's absolutely reasonable based on what we have seen over the past 10 plus years, certainly since the 2016 election. It's reasonable for people to say the intelligence community has grown too big and too powerful. Just like it did back in the 1970s, we need to remove some of the authorities. We need to have more oversight because we recognize that there might be a need for collection of foreign intelligence to understand what our adversaries are doing. Fine. Or a domestic law enforcement capacity. We need to find some bad guys here in the country. Fine. But it's gotten too big and there's too much power and we need to pull that back in. And that happens after we have the House and the Senate. If they actually functioned, they would do the investigations into that to figure out how bad the problem is. And then we figure out how deeply we have to rein it in. Absent a functional Congress, that's when the American media is supposed to do the work, do that investigative work to expose some of this stuff. But when you have a media that is so in the tank for folks, particularly on the left, then what's their incentive to actually get to the bottom of some of these abuses? There's no outside function right now that's keeping power in check. The House and the Senate, nope. The President, nope. Our media, nope. That's the problem of this moment.
And I think it's compounded by the fact that, no offense, you all seem to be really bad at your job. I mean, in the sense that it's like,
Well, not you,
you know,
Bryan.
our intelligence shows that, Afghanistan will stand on its own. No. Our intelligence shows that Kiev will fall within 3 days. No. It's like our intelligence shows, it's like, do you guys have anything right? Like, is there anything that is accurate?
Okay, so first of all, totally fair. So on my podcast, President's Daily Brief, we covered this. We talked about this. You as taxpayers are paying billions and billions of dollars to the intelligence community to act on your behalf. You should be asking questions if they're falling short. So that's fair.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.